Definition of success is standing on top of a cliff, you look down and there are rocks below, and you don't see your safety net. And you feel the fear, but you take the step off anyway, and you just trust that the safety net will appear. And it always does. And he says, it might sound crazy, but every successful person knows that.
Hey, what if giving up alcohol didn't mean giving up fun, friends, or success, but it actually made you richer, healthier, and more productive? Well, today's guest has helped thousands of high achievers find out. Welcome back to the root of all success. I am the real Jason Duncan, and this is episode number 318. My guest today is James Swanwick, an Australian-American investor, entrepreneur, and former ESPN SportsCenter anchor. He's the creator of Alcohol-Free Lifestyle and founder of Project 90, helping high achievers change their relationship with alcohol. He's also the man behind Swanwick Sleep and their famous blue light blocking Swannies, designed to improve deep sleep quality. He's interviewed celebrities like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Kobe Bryant, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he's here today on the Root of All Success to talk with me, the real Jason Duncan, about what living alcohol-free has to do with building real lasting success. James, welcome to the show, my man.
Jason, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, James, you've interviewed some of the most famous people on the planet. I mentioned them in the opening, like Brad and Angelina, Kobe, Beckham, Schwarzenegger. But now you're known for helping high achievers give up alcohol, and that's a pretty big difference. So what was the moment when you realized that your biggest story wasn't about celebrities, but it was about changing lives?
Well, I changed my own life first and foremost. In 2010, I quit alcohol for lifestyle reasons. I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't get a DUI. I didn't wake up in a ditch, but I'd been a socially acceptable drinker for 20 years by age 35. And I was 20 pounds overweight. I was tired, lethargic, irritable, wasn't sleeping great. My life was just blah. 6 out of 10. Wasn't rock bottom, but it was just kind of blah. And I thought I'd do a 30-day break from alcohol. I did. I lost 13 pounds. I felt better. And I thought, damn, this is pretty good. I'll just keep on going. And it's been 15 years and counting now. And so the shift for me was about 5 years into me being alcohol-free when I realized that all these successful people were asking me about how I was successful at having fun and creating businesses and being on TV and doing these cool things while being alcohol-free. And so that was when I created this organization, which is named Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. And I just started helping the very high achievers that I was spending time with or interviewing.
So you started out as a journalist. You eventually anchored ESPN SportsCenter, which I think any sporting fan would know, the SportsCenter. How did that media career set the stage for everything you're doing now?
I was a journalist in my 20s and mid 30s, newspaper journalist. Growing up in Australia, I wrote for a broadsheet newspaper. Moved over to London, worked for Sky Sports. And then when I moved to the US, I was interviewing movie stars as a Hollywood correspondent. So I would interview Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston, and I would write the story and I would sell it all around the world. And then when I quit alcohol in 2010, someone just came to me and goes, hey, I think you'd be good for SportsCenter. They're looking for an international host, someone with an accent or whatever. I'm like, all right. And because I was clear-headed and had energy and focus, I said, I'm going to get this damn job. I'm going to get it. Now, by the way, I had zero television experience. I had interviewing experience, but I wasn't on camera before. So I was quite nervous and not experienced in that regard. But I flew over to Bristol, Connecticut, and I just got the job. I couldn't believe it. 2 weeks later, they put me on the air and I was hosting SportsCenter. I was like, this stopping drinking thing is pretty damn good because it's given me confidence and motivation. And I'm landing a gig on the most iconic sports TV news show in America. And I'm like, I'm just some guy from the suburbs of Brisbane, Australia. What the hell am I doing on SportsCenter in Bristol, Connecticut? So that was like the first kind of evidence, really tangible evidence that living an alcohol-free lifestyle could really create massive business success.
How connected do you think those things were between no alcohol and that opportunity?
There's no chance I would have got the SportsCenter gig without it. In those 30 days that I quit, that I thought I was going to quit alcohol for, because bear in mind, it's been 15 years, but I thought it was only going to be 30 days. During those 30 days, I was much calmer and I was nicer and I was kinder to people. I noticed that. And I'm one of the guys I helped, his name's Craig. He was moving house and I just went, hey, you want me to come over and help move your house? And he went, oh, okay. I wouldn't have done that if I was drinking. If I was drinking, I'd just be like, I'm not doing that. I'm too tired, whatever, right? So I did it. He was the guy who a week later said, hey, I know this ESPN producer who's looking for an international host. I thought you'd be good. I know you got no TV experience. Can I introduce you to him? And I was like, hell yeah. So that introduction came from me being a kinder person, which came from me being alcohol free.
Wow.
So you can link it. And then when the opportunity arose and I connected to the producer, the tired, irritable, foggy version of me, the drinking version of me, I don't think would have said, I'll fly myself from LA to Bristol to do this audition. Because I did. I flew myself over there to do it. ESPN didn't pay for me to do it. I proactively said, I'll get my own way over there. I'll come and meet you. I don't think the tired, irritable drinking version of me would have done that. I wouldn't have had the self-confidence. I probably would have thought it was like an inconvenience or an irritation. But because I was clear, I was focused, I was energized, I felt better. I was like, let's do it. I'm going to go for it. Let's do this thing.
Well, in all the interviews as a journalist pre-ESPN and then since ESPN, you've been able to interview some of the world's most famous athletes and actors. Was there a moment when, in one of those conversations, that made you rethink your own definition of success?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is unique or surprising, I would suggest. LL Cool J. You know LL Cool J?
Ladies love Cool James. Yeah.
I was at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills interviewing him for a film that he was promoting that also had Queen Latifah, the actress, in it. And I think it was called The Last Holiday. I'll double check on Google in the background. But anyway, he was in that movie. I didn't really know who he was. He's an American rapper, but I grew up in Australia. I didn't really follow rap. Honestly, I didn't know who he was really. And then I'm interviewing him in this Four Seasons hotel, and I'm kind of going through the motions a little bit, saying, what was it like maybe making the movie, and tell me about the movie and that kind of stuff. And then at the end, I did what I almost always did with these famous people because I had access to them. I just said, what's your definition of success? And he gave me what still to this day is the most profound answer that I got from anyone. And he said, definition of success is standing on top of a cliff. You look down and there are rocks below and you don't see your safety net. And you feel the fear, but you take the step off anyway and you just trust that the safety net will appear. And it always does. And he says, it might sound crazy, but every successful person knows that. They feel the fear. They see the fear. They experience it, but they just take action and move forward anyway, and they trust that the safety net will appear, and it always does. That's what success is. I was like, damn, that's pretty good from this LL Cool J guy that I didn't really know 2 days ago. I only just started researching him because I had to ask him questions for the movie, and that really stuck with me. And I've implemented that into my own coaching now because I coach entrepreneurs, executives, real estate experts, very accomplished, successful people who are struggling with alcohol. And that's one of the stories that I share to inspire them to take that leap of faith when they feel the fear, because that's where success is. That's where it lies.
Well, that is a preempt of one of the questions I'm going to ask you later about your definition of success. So I'm going to get there. I'm going to come back to that. But I'm more impressed with LL Cool J now than I maybe was before, because I've been a fan of his since I was a kid. Because growing up here in Nashville, I was always into all kinds of music, not just rap, but all kinds of music. And LL Cool J, I Need Love, Mama Said Knock You Out, Going Back to Cali, all those great LL Cool J songs. That's awesome to hear somebody like him say that. Well, you've gone, James, from journalism to entrepreneurship to health coaching, which you just referenced. What was the toughest pivot between all those ideas, and how did you handle that?
The toughest pivot was when I resigned from ESPN to go and be an entrepreneur.
Mm.
Like, that was pretty tough because I made a choice. Like, I worked at ESPN from 2010 to 12. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so good. But it was also social suicide living out in Bristol, Connecticut. And I was a single man at the time. And the only person that you can really date as a single man is, the makeup girls in the ESPN makeup department or other people who work at ESPN. Because it's 2 hours away from Manhattan in New York, right? Where I really wanted to be. And so, and also you're working for corporate America. ESPN's owned by Disney, and, it's corporate America. So you still got a boss. You still got to, answer to a producer. You still got to be in the office at a certain time. And when does most sport take place? On the weekends. And so your weekends are kind of destroyed because you're focusing on sport and work, right? It's fun. It was fun, Jason. It was fun. But there was a cost. And the cost was I didn't get to socialize that much. Didn't hang out with my friends, like I'm in Bristol, Connecticut. I'm feeling a little bit isolated. And at that time, I really wanted to be in control of my own schedule and be my own boss and make my own money and kind of have an infinite amount of money that I could generate for myself, as opposed to ESPN, where I was paid very handsomely with great benefits, but it was still, corporate America. And so I kind of felt in my second year, I was like, God, as good as this is, I think I've got to really go and try and be an entrepreneur here. So I quit. I resigned. People were like, are you crazy? You're on TV. You get to watch sport all day. You got a Z level of fame. This is crazy. I was like, I think I'm going to go and do it on my own. And so I did. I quit. And candidly, Jason, I struggled for about 18 months. The most money I made in the 12 months after I quit at ESPN was about $35,000 when I was trying to become an online entrepreneur. I was trying to create these little courses and help people. I wrote this book called How to Be a Journalist, very modest sales. And I was questioning myself, man, did I do this? Oh, I'm not sure I did the right thing here. I was struggling and I felt pretty low. But then I hired a mentor who was 10 years further along at me at online business. And that really sped up my learning. And then I learned sales and marketing and how to build a course and how to write a book. I learned and I made a little bit more money. And then the next year I made a bit more money. And even though I was a late 30s-year-old man at this stage and not making the kind of money that I desired, little by little, like compound interest, it just got better and better and better. And then I created the alcohol-free organization. And now I have two very successful businesses and life's good. I got financial comfort and I can control my financial destiny and I control my own schedule. And now it feels great.
I love that story. As an advocate for entrepreneurship, I love hearing people's stories when they step out, like LL Cool J said, without a net, and they know that it's going to be there. Even if the first year you might hit a few branches and maybe some ledges on the way down, you're still knowing that you're not going to hit the bottom. You're going to be all right. Circling back to the alcohol thing. Alcohol is such a normalized part of business. It's a part of networking, even social success, if you want to call it that. Now, you shared earlier how you've personally broke free from it, and it was just a decision that you made. But what resistance did you face in those early days?
One of my best friends, Zach, we went to the Jones Bar on Santa Monica Boulevard about 2 weeks into what I thought would be 30 days of not drinking. And I told him I wasn't drinking, that I was trying to get to 30 days. And I ordered a soda water. He got a vodka. And then it was his time to get around. So he went to the bar, said, what do you want? I'll take a soda water. And he came back. He gave me what I thought was a soda water. And I went to put it to my lips. And just as I did, I looked at him and he had this kind of sheepish look in his eyes, this kind of grin. And I kind of smelled it. And I said, did you put vodka in this? And he went, yeah, I did. And I was like, I said in very crass Australian slang, you wanker. and I I was pissed with him. I was like, man, this is one of my best friends who's just trying to get me to drink, even though I've just declared that I'm not going to drink for 30 days. So that was an eye-opening experience for me, that my best friends somewhat disapproved of my attempts to be alcohol-free. A couple of weeks later, like I said, I was a single man at the time. I invited this lovely woman named Andrea out to the same bar a couple of weeks later. And I was so self-conscious about telling people that I wasn't drinking and awkward, and I didn't want her to think that I was an alcoholic, that I got to the bar 15 minutes before the date, and I did a deal with the barman, and I said, listen, when I order a vodka soda for me, can you just make it soda water? I just want to create the illusion that I'm drinking alcohol, but I'm not really going to. And he's like, yeah, I got you, no worries. So I managed to get through this date with Andrea without her knowing that I was just sipping on soda water while she drank her wine. Except a couple of weeks later, we were at the Coachella Music Festival, and her friend said, hey, James, can I get you a drink? You want a beer? I said, oh, no, I haven't drunk in like 6 weeks. And Andrea said, yes, you have. You were drinking on our first date. And I was like, oh, actually, no, I was only drinking soda water. She said, so you tricked me into believing that you were drinking vodka? I'm like, yeah. And there was a big energetic break, and we didn't end up continuing to date because she felt like I'd completely fooled her, and there was no trust there. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I tell my best friend I'm not drinking, and he gets me to drink, and I hide that I'm not drinking from a romantic partner, and she dumps me. I'm like, this is fascinating. So there was that social awkwardness and my fear about what other people were thinking and how they would behave. That was the awkward part of that first period where I stopped. But then increasingly, as I went along and decided to remain alcohol-free and started to experience these incredible benefits of better sleep and losing weight and looking great and feeling calm. And then I just started sharing with people, you know what, I quit drinking a couple months ago. I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm doing it as an experiment. I feel pretty good. And the way that I said that with confidence, what I noticed was the response back I got from the people I was sharing it with was like, oh, that's interesting. But it was when I was like, oh, sorry, I'm not drinking. Oh, I wish I could. That people would say, come on, just have one. You're fine. But you're Australian, for goodness sake. But it's my birthday. Just have a drink. But we're celebrating. What are you talking about? So that's when I realized that the way that you share with someone that you're not drinking is far more important than whatever words you say about not drinking. It's how you say it. It's the energy transfer. So I just started owning it, confident. I don't drink. I'm not drinking at the moment. I feel great. And all of that social pressure dissipated.
You know, a lot of people assume that giving up alcohol is about deprivation. But as I understand it, your programs frame it as freedom. So what do most people misunderstand about living alcohol-free?
Well, most people think that if you stop drinking, that you must have a problem. Most people think that if you stop drinking, that you will experience pain and deprivation of joy. Most people think that if you stop drinking, you'll be dull and boring, that you'll have to retreat from society, that you'll no longer be able to hang out with your friends. And they're all mistaken. They're all mistaken beliefs. The truth is, and I can speak with conviction because I've been 15 years alcohol-free and I've helped thousands of high achievers to love living alcohol-free. Not being sober, by the way. Being sober implies, oh, I would choose to drink, but I can't because I've got this problem. But choosing to be alcohol-free, that's where the fun and the freedom and the joy is, because you're choosing a style of life. The name of my coaching organization is Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. And if we look at that third word, lifestyle, and we break it up into 2 or 3 words, it's a style of life. So choosing to not drink is a style of life. We're choosing it. It's like, yes, I get to be alcohol-free. And then when you choose it that way, then you can go, all right, I'm going to have the most fun at this party tonight, even though everyone else is drinking. All right, I'm going to be the most personable. I'm going to do the most number of deals. I'm going to do a great deal at this business networking event while the other people are thinking that they need to drink alcohol to create camaraderie and a bond, and they need it as a social lubricant in order to facilitate business. I'm going to be clear-headed and alcohol-free because I choose it, and I'm going to go deep with this person. I'm going to make a deal. I'm going to do business, and I'm going to be confident doing so. That's the difference. That's the difference. So the biggest mistaken belief is that not drinking will equal pain, deprivation, boredom, like you'll feel like you're in a prison. No, the opposite is true. You feel like, wow, this is the way nature intended me to live. This is the way that I'm supposed to be, with clarity, focus, energy, joy, big smile on my face, having the most fun. Crazy, right? Wow, I can have the most fun while living alcohol-free. Crazy concept, but it's true.
We're going to talk more about your alcohol-free lifestyle when we get back from this break. Let me talk about our sponsorship for today's episode. If you haven't yet, I want to make sure you register for my upcoming live Zoom training that's called What to Fix Before You Exit. In just 1 hour, I'm going to break down the 7 things that you have to fix before you even think about selling your business. I'm going to break down buyer psychology. I'm going to reveal blind spots. I'm going to explain what makes a business truly transferable and valuable. And if you're interested in that, it's no pitch, there's no replay, and it's absolutely no fluff. It's direct and to the point. It's real training, and you can register for free at exiter.club. That's exiter.club, EXITER.club. Now, as far as our official sponsor for today's episode, we're very grateful to be sponsored by the company Dubb, D-U-B-B. They have been a partner of mine for a long time. I've been a customer of theirs for a long time, rather. And they chose to start sponsoring the partner podcast, I don't know, a year or two ago. And Ruben and the guys over there are phenomenal. What does Dubb do? Well, it's a video communication platform that helps entrepreneurs connect, build trust, and close sales faster. You can send email videos. You can see when they clicked on the video. Did they watch the video? Did they click a CTA button after the video? You can even put in playlists after they watch it. It's such a better way to communicate with prospects than just sending a plain text email. I mean, really. Wouldn't you really rather open up an email and see somebody talking to you? That's kind of a cool thing. That's what Dubb does. And if you want to try it out, you can go to therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. You get, I think it's half off of the first month or free. I don't know. We got such a great deal. I don't even remember what it is, but it's half off the first month or half off 2 months. It's a great deal. Check it out at therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. Now, let's get back to the episode with James Swanwick. So, James, you've built alcohol-free lifestyle into a program. And by the way, I love the lifestyle word because you mentioned that earlier. My mastermind that I run called the Exeter Club is all about the exit lifestyle. It's actually in our logo. You can't really see it on my hat, but it says the exit lifestyle. So I know that word lifestyle is very important. But you've built that alcohol-free lifestyle into a program that appeals primarily to high achievers. So what do you think why do you think that audience responds so strongly to your message?
Because we entrepreneurs and executives and high achievers are successful in almost all areas of our life, but we haven't been able to beat this one thing of alcohol. And so what resonates is other executives and CEOs and business owners getting in a group of other CEOs, executives, and entrepreneurs to finally solve this missing piece of alcohol. That's why it resonates, because as high achievers, we think differently. We don't follow the crowd. We're smart enough to question conventional paths. And the conventional paths of stopping drinking involve AA, willpower, rehab, and they all have less than 10% success rates. I would submit most of your listeners here who identify as having some kind of alcohol challenge, right, have tried willpower and they've been stuck on a stop-start cycle. They stop drinking for a while, then they start again. They stop drinking for a while, they start again. And it's probably frustrating for them because they can make money in business. They know how to get things done. There's a problem to solve. I can solve it, but this is the one problem they haven't been able to solve. And because I'm an entrepreneur and I understand that, and I understand that high achieving mentality, and I identify as someone who thinks differently and I don't follow the crowd, I'm able to support a similar mindset. And in this case, as executive CEOs and entrepreneurs and lawyers and doctors, etc. So because I understand that, I'm able to speak with them in a language that they resonate with and they understand. And just like your amazing community that you've built, Jason, you've got like-minded people. And one of the ways that people achieve meaningful change in their life is being in a like-minded group of people. Now, not a group of people, but a like-minded group of people, because you can go to an AA meeting as a 50-year-old entrepreneur who's married with 2 kids, and you're sitting next to a 19-year-old meth addict who's holding up gas stations and who's been court ordered to be in that room. Now, of course, you want the best for that 19-year-old, but there's no like-mindedness there. You can't relate to that person as much as you want him to succeed in life. And so you're not inspired to return to that AA meeting. You're not inspired to be around that group of people. But what we've done here at Alcohol Free Lifestyle with our 90-day stop drinking process is curate a group of entrepreneurs, executives, retirees, real estate investors, together in a room who all identify with being successful and have common goals, common challenges, and this one particularly common challenge of alcohol. That's why I submit our process is so successful.
What do you think makes alcohol such a common crutch in the world of executives and entrepreneurs?
Well, we're very stressed. We're very anxious. We're tired at the end of the day. We're solving problems all day, like 10 times as many problems as someone who isn't. And so at the end of the day, we're just like, oh God, I'm like, feel so stressed and overwhelmed. And we identify attractively packaged poison, which is how I refer to alcohol, as something that gives us this temporary relief. And you know what? It does. It does give us temporary relief. But it's illusionary and it's temporary. And the consequences of that little temporary relief are dire. Dire. And I'm not talking about what society deems an alcoholic, Jason. I'm talking about even a socially acceptable entrepreneur and high achiever. Someone who might drink 2 or 3 drinks a night, most nights, if not every night of the week. I'll tell you why. Would you be surprised to learn that I could show any entrepreneur that them drinking 2 or 3 drinks a night, most nights of the week, not getting drunk, not waking up in a ditch, but just 2 drinks a night, 3 drinks a night is probably costing them millions of dollars. Millions of dollars in lost revenue in their business. I'll tell you why. Because let's just say you have a seemingly innocent glass of wine or 2 at the end of the night. Well, that absolutely will compromise your sleep. Every study on this shows that alcohol destroys your sleep, okay? So now you don't sleep as well. Now you wake up just a little bit foggy, just a little bit lethargic, just a little bit irritable. Now you snap at your wife or your son or your daughter or your colleagues. Or now you don't make that additional sales call that you ordinarily would have, or you don't have that strategic insight that you ordinarily would have. You don't create the time to think in your business that would open up new revenue streams. You don't fire that person. You don't hire that person. You procrastinate because you're dragging your ass from those 2 seemingly innocent drinks the night before. Now, let's just say you go to the US Masters or the Super Bowl, or you go to some sporting event and you're tied on, and you have 6 drinks. That's going to take you 2 days to recover from. You know it does. So now you go to the game on a Sunday, and now it's Monday. You're operating at a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, not a 9 out of 10. The difference between a 7 out of 10 and a 9 out of 10 could be 1, 2 clients a month. If each client is worth $25,000 to you, that's $50,000. That's $600,000 of revenue you don't generate in a year based on that scenario. But like, depending on what your business is, do your own mathematical equation. Like, what is the real cost of that drink? Pretty astounding when you think about it.
Let me go back to the idea of success. You know, you interviewed LL Cool J about that years ago, and he had a really interesting definition. But before we get to your definition, what do you believe is your one key to success? What has unlocked success for you more than anything else?
Quitting alcohol. We've been speaking about it throughout our entire conversation, but literally learning how to love being alcohol free has generated me an 8-figure business, a 7-figure business, which I exited. But most importantly, if you just take away the money and the financial component of it, it's generated me calm, joy, fulfillment. Now, notice I'm not saying the word pleasure. Pleasure is like we chase pleasure, we get this dopamine hit, and then we crash. Pleasure, crash, pleasure, crash. There's been pleasure along the way, no question. But what I value is fulfillment. And fulfillment is, I'm a 50-year-old man. I turned 50 just 2 weeks ago. And I was thrilled to turn 50. I was absolutely over the moon to turn 50. And I never would have imagined that as an alcohol drinking man. I would have gone, 50, God damn it, that seems old. Damn, I want to just stay young. But I absolutely loved it because my health is great. I took a photo on my 50th birthday. I'll show it to you, Jason. There it is. Had a photographer come round. That's me at 50.
Nice.
That's literally the morning, right, of when I was 50. I sleep great. I got a beautiful wife. I got a baby on the way.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and here's the thing: my relationship with my 80-year-old parents is fantastic, and I've created the goal for their remaining years to give them first-class, memorable experiences during their 80s. And then in my alcohol-free organization, I get lit up by helping high achievers to quit drinking because they say to me, James, thank you so much for helping save my... James, thank you so much. You helped save my marriage. James, thank you so much. My teenage daughter is talking to me again. James, thank you so much. I've lost 30 pounds. James, thank you so much. I just created 5 clients in the last month. These are all real things that people say. So that gives me meaning. Right? So when you ask what's been the most profound thing to my success, it's been removing the poison which created procrastination, fatigue, irritability, envy, jealous of other people's success, and just a blah, drifting kind of life. And what replaced those things was a positive mindset, a life of appreciation, not expectation. Focusing on my physical health, which I know improves my mental health. Practicing conscious communication. Feeling more connected to my parents in their 80s. Learning how to communicate with my wife. Loving my family. Embodying being a family man. Like I now take on this persona. It's like, I'm a family man. I'm the kind of guy that takes care of his family. I'm a family man. And just stepping into that kind of like Superman suit, if you like. And understanding and embodying that just gives back in so many ways. It's just the best feeling ever. So yeah, giving up that poison was literally the biggest success hack.
Well, how do you personally define the word success?
I used to say it was being able to do what you want, when you want, with whoever you want. And I still think that that's true. But I would add something to it, which is with meaning and purpose. And your meaning can change depending on who it is, and purpose. Are you familiar with Tony Robbins? Do you like his work at all? Are you familiar with his work?
I know you can't see it, but right here is a picture of me with Tony Robbins behind me.
Amazing. So I've been to UPW and I've been to Date with Destiny. And he talks about the 6 human needs. Mm-hmm. And these 6 human needs are that if every human being has these human needs met, we have an extraordinary life. And the needs are, we want certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, growth, and contribution. Well, I'm turned 50 2 weeks ago, and I think about those 6 human needs as it relates to this stop drinking organization in my life. And I go, I've got certainty, like I know where I'm going. I got uncertainty. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is so interesting. I didn't know I was going to be talking to you, Jason, a few weeks ago that we were going to meet. There's that uncertainty. I've got growth. I'm growing all the time. And learn in my learning. I've got love and connection. My clients are like, thank you so much for changing my life. I've got my wife who loves me. I've got my stepdaughter and daughter. I've got my dog who's like loves me when I walk home. I'm loving my parents who are in their 80s. I've got contribution. I'm contributing to the world by helping people to stop drinking. I've got significance because I'm kind of like the man, right? I'm the CEO of my business and people look to me and like I get significance from people thanking me. So that kind of feeds my ego a little bit as well. Man, I got all of my 6 human needs met. That's success. So I would say a previous version, success was doing what you want, when you want, with who you want. But in addition, it's like, can you live a meaningful and purposeful life like Tony Robbins talks? And you got that, that is success.
I love that definition. So based on that definition, do you consider yourself successful?
I feel like I'm the most successful person I know.
I love it.
But I'm not basing it on the dollars in the bank account. That's in part of it. Like the dollars in the bank account is a reflection of the success that isn't to do with the dollars, right? But I'm not basing it on the financial, because it's crazy when other entrepreneurs talk to other entrepreneurs. They go, "Oh, you got to talk to this guy. You got to talk to James. Jason, crazy successful, got this successful thing, so successful. Oh, he's very successful." The first thing we go to is made a lot of money, got a nice house, whatever. Nah, successful is, do you feel fulfilled? Do you have purpose? Do you wake up and go, "This is freaking awesome. How good is this life?" I'm in that phase right now. I haven't always been in it, but I'm in that phase now. I just wanted to keep on going, Jason.
What is your best piece of advice for entrepreneurs besides stop drinking alcohol? Because I'm assuming that's a number one at the top of the list. But besides that, because we've talked about that a lot, what would you say to an entrepreneur listening to the show? What's your advice for them?
I would say either start a business or be in a business where you can create meaningful, positive impact in your customers or clients, and create a door for you to receive that feedback or thanks from your clients or your customers. Because me getting showered with gratitude from my clients keeps me motivated to keep going in the business. Now, let's just compare my style of business. My style of business helps people stop drinking, which helps save marriages and lose weight and all these amazing benefits, right? But if I was selling, say, like, I don't know, I've got like a coffee mug coaster here from my favorite English football team, Tottenham Hotspur, right? I'm just holding this up. It's a piece of leather. If you made $10 million a year selling this stuff, that'd be awesome. That'd be fantastic. But does it give you meaning and purpose? Does it give you all those other things? And if I could make $1 million a year doing my existing business by getting direct feedback from my customers and clients, oh my God, this is the best. You've changed my life. I love this. Thank you. Or $10 million from selling this, which I don't get it, which is cool. Like, it's good. I would choose the $1 million. I would choose that, right? Because I know that I'm going to do that for many, many years, because it's going to keep giving me this beautiful fulfillment. And maybe I do this for years, and maybe it gives me financial resources to invest in fulfillment elsewhere. Like this, there's a few little nuances to that, right? But the greatest advice I would give to an entrepreneur would be essentially do something that really gives you meaning and purpose. And even if you're going to do this business over here with the coffee mug coaster, you could make the meaning and purpose behind it taking care of your family, and that might be enough. Like, that might be enough. Could be. But really, really tie the meaning and purpose behind your business, to your business, I should say, right? Because that is what will drive you forward and keep you going when times get tough, which they always do.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that perspective, because to use the word struggle would not be proper or adequate to describe, but the struggle that I have mentally as an entrepreneur who started many businesses and exited them. And I feel like today I'm living in the center of what God put me on the earth to do. Could I make more money quicker doing something else, selling widgets, selling the coasters or something? Probably. I could probably go out there and figure that out quicker. But I'm content and satisfied and fulfilled in this more than I am that. So you don't know how much I appreciate your advice on that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jason. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I've got two final questions for you today. First, favorite interview you've ever done? Who was it and why?
Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone. Isn't that a crazy answer, right? I was at the Sundance Film Festival years ago, and he was promoting some movie. He was a teenager at this stage, right? He wasn't like a young kid as we kind of associate him with the Home Alone movies. He was probably 21, 22 years old. That was the best interview I've ever done. It was so interesting because at age 21, 22, whatever he was at the time, he'd already been a childhood star. He'd divorced his parents. He was dating Mila Kunis at the time. He went on to marry Ashton Kutcher. He was chain smoking the cigarettes. He danced with Fred Astaire, I think it was. He just lived this extraordinary life. And at the time, Michael Jackson was still alive and being accused of, kiddie fiddling, so to speak. And I asked Macaulay Culkin, like, "Hey, you hung out with Michael Jackson at Neverland, and did you stay over?" And he was very candid with his answer. He said, "Yeah, I stayed over, but nothing happened. It was fine. It was just like." And I was like, "This is such an interesting interview. This guy has just led such an extraordinary life." So that was the most memorable interview and the most enjoyable interview, I have to say, just because it was this kid who was 22 and he represented, wow, look at what's possible in the world at age 22. Look at, like, he's had 10 lifetimes in 22 years. Look what's possible. And so that was the most unique.
Last question. What's one habit you refuse to break, even if people think it's weird?
Well, I'm not going back to drinking. That's for sure. I would say, in addition to that, it would be watching Tottenham Hotspur, my English Premier League football club, soccer club. I've gone back and forth over this in the years. Is like I spend 2 hours once or twice a week watching Tottenham, and I will put it into my work day, my business day, and I will set aside meetings or I'll postpone meetings in order to watch the game. And some people say, that is crazy. You're running a business here. You've got 52 staff. You're helping all these people. Why are you doing that? And that's the crazy thing. Right? Like, what, like you spend an inordinate amount of time on this football team. But then I realized, like, I get so much joy out of the anticipation of the game, watching the game, then feeling sad if we lose and feeling joy and euphoria if we win. And like, it's part of life. Like what the gods wouldn't give to be able to feel. Like the gods don't feel sadness or joy or laughter or ups or downs or pain and suffering. They're just like, they're immortal, right? They can't die. And they want to be able to die so they can feel those things. Because we're going to die, I can feel sadness and joy and anticipation and excitement and euphoria. And so what am I working for? What am I working in this business for? It's to feel all of those feels. So as it relates to watching professional sports, some people say you're just watching a bunch of people chasing a pigskin around a field. Too much time wasted when you could be focused on other things. And I'm like, I don't know. It makes me sad. It makes me angry. It makes me happy. It makes me joyful. It makes me euphoric. It makes me want to win. I see people striving to do the best. I see the feeling of the crowd. I feel all those kind of things. This is what life is. I'm just going to tap into that, and I'm just going to keep on doing that. And you know what? In about 8 minutes from now, Tottenham's playing, and I'm going to go downstairs and watch it in my home cinema, and I'm going to feel all the feels, Jason.
Well, James, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing a little bit of your story, your perspective on life and entrepreneurship and journalism and alcohol. So how would people be best suited to find you? Where do you want to connect with people that are listening?
If you'd like to find out more about alcohol-free lifestyle, you can just go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I wrote a book which is called Clear, a neuroscience-based approach to break free from alcohol without AA, willpower, or rehab. You can find that on Amazon. I also narrated the book, so you can listen to the audiobook. And then I have a podcast called The Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. You can find us in Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, and then and a YouTube channel. And then I'm most engaged really on Instagram, which is just my name, @James Swanwick.
All right. Well, James, thank you for being on the show.
Jason, thank you so much for having me.
All right, listeners, you know what time it is. It's time for another edition of JD's Public Service Rants. This is where I call out the little things that shouldn't have to be said, but clearly they do. So if you're guilty of this one, consider yourself officially put on notice. So I want to talk to you, people who don't use your blinkers. I want to tell you, look, you're not James Bond. You're not executing a covert mission. Everybody hates you. You're just turning left at a Taco Bell. Use your blinker. It's literally a flick of the wrist. It helps everyone around you not rear end you in your mystery maneuver. You're not mysterious. You're just annoying and dangerous. Please start using your blinkers. Well, that's it for today's JD's Public Service Rant. If you got an idea for one of these, send it over my way. And remember, don't be that guy. I want to thank James Swanwick for being on the show today. What a pleasure to have somebody here talk about something so not normal. right? I mean, not drinking alcohol is pretty not normal in today's society. And have someone not only choose not to do it, but now helping hundreds of people worldwide, thousands of people worldwide not do it and to live better, freer lives. Look into this. I don't know. Maybe I'll go on his show and we'll talk about it, because I do drink alcohol. We didn't talk about show was not about me, but I would love to interview him or have him interview me about my relationship with it. Who knows? Maybe we'll do that at a future point. But thank you, listener, for tuning in today or watching this on YouTube or wherever you saw me. Thank you very much. Make sure you go follow James Swanwick on Instagram, and we're glad that he was here. So until next time, as always, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.